Good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open for business this Friday morning on Don't Sleep on the Dallas Cowboys, because you literally cannot sleep on the Dallas Cowboys because things happen late in the evening, late at night, first thing in the morning. So you want to be up to speed with all that is America's soap opera. And last night, we had the toilet bowl. And the New York stinking Giants, well, they get the award because their season is now flushed. It's not technically over, but having two losses already in the division, going down 1-5 already, woo, it's not good. You already have grumblings from Odell Beckham, who's gotten now fined for speaking his mind about Eli Manning, and Eli Manning, who is literally a shell of himself. Eli Manning can't get out of his own way, and that offensive line is putrid. How bad is that offensive line? That offensive line is so bad that Eric Flowers is no longer on that team, so that gives you an idea. They were saying that Carson Wentz was having an average of 6.77 seconds to throw. You give any NFL quarterback that kind of time, he's going to eat you up. On the flip side, they said Eli Manning had 6.77 seconds total to throw for the whole game. Not a winning formula. And sad to say, no, it's not sad to say, the Giants are done. The Eagles, on the other hand, well, they've got new life. This may be the thing that helps them get started and going on a roll. But I will say, the Eagles are a very beat-up team. They've got so many injuries, it's not even funny. They've got problems at tackle. Lane Johnson does not look anything like his Pro Bowl self. And I think they're going to still have a hard road to hoe. Considering this, they already have as many losses this season as they had all of last year. So clearly, it's not so easy to repeat. Now back to my team, the Dallas Cowboys, who take on the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. First thing I'll say is, for once, we've played better at home than on the road, which is mystifying because the Cowboys over the last 10 years have been about the best road team in the NFL, yet we have not been able to bust a grape on the road. On the flip side, the two victories we've had have been at home. So there's that. The Cowboys technically don't have to win this game because not all games are weighted the same. Because Jacksonville's in the AFC, it's not the same as playing the NFC. However, I will say this is a much-needed win. With the Eagles winning last night, them getting to 500, you don't want to go to 2-4. And for if no other reason, for the locker room's sake, we need to get a win. You're beginning to get players that are questioning the coaching. You know, when you, not even talking about Allen Hurns, the team, you can tell, wanted to go for it on fourth down. Zeke Elliott, you know, you kind of like to be there. Even Jerry Jones, for a minute, admitted that you want to be more aggressive. And then you hear Allen Hurns, who's kind of questioning Dak's ability, the offensive line, the play calling, everything. When you start getting that stuff, it begins to become a mob mentality. And it will kind of filter through the locker room where basically everybody tunes everything off. I'm not saying that it's there yet. You've got some great leaders in Zeke, who has come a long ways from where he was last year to being a team leader. You've got Dak, who's owning up to saying, I've got to be better. But I'm questioning the coaching. You know, I had my uncle, the person who actually got me started in doing carpentry and woodworking. When I was about 9 years old, we put an addition onto our house. And I had an Uncle Lawrence. Lawrence, I don't think he had more than an 8th grade education, but Lawrence knew how to build. Lawrence, everything was dead on plumb, and you better not bend up a nail. And Lawrence taught me a lot about carpentry, even at that young age. It carries through to me where a lot of times I'm building, I will harken back to things that I learned from Uncle Lawrence. And a lot of times in construction, You get the architect, he shows up on the site, of course, suit and tie and everything else, drops out his plans and things, and this is what we want, this is the look we want, this is the material and everything else. I don't have that education. I don't show up at the job site with that suit. I'm usually paint covered and, kind of dirty and dusty and stuff. But sometimes I can look at it and say, what you got right there won't work. And they'll look at you like, son, I'm the architect. I've got the education. And my Uncle Lawrence would call somebody like that an educated fool. Because they don't have real life experience or job site experience. Take example, the bulkhead. You guys remember last year when I was building that crazy bulkhead for the American Indian Museum for the Smithsonian. They had all this $50,000 architects that drew up this bulkhead and everything else. They had 4 other contractors try and build it from the plans. And they called me and said, listen, we got to figure out how to get this thing done. And I looked at it and said, that's not going to work with the crap that's drawn up on here from that educated fool. So I scratched down, this is how we can do it. We can go blah, 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 boom. So the architect was there. Okay, yeah, I see what you're talking. So then he went back and redrew it up and comes back and here's the new plans. It's like, yeah, well, that's exactly what I told you to do. And herein lies our coaching problem. Because see, in the NFL, coaches are very few. It's just like quarterbacks. There's very few of them in the world that can do that job. And it's one of those things that you can have all the book smarts, but sometimes you've got to be an apprentice to learn from a master. And there's a few coaching trees out there where guys have paid their dues. And you can see, not all of them become great coaches, but you can see the disciples of them. Because you got guys like Marty Schottenheimer. And when you look at that coaching tree, some of the guys have been great, some of them not so much. But you got Bill Collier, worked under Marty Schottenheimer, Tony Soprano, Mike McCarthy, Hugh Jackson, Herm Edwards. These are guys that were assistants under them learning how to coach. Bill Parcells, one of the greatest coaching trees, if not the greatest. You've got Tom Coughlin, a couple Super Bowls there. Maybe with Jacksonville, even as a GM. You got Eric Mangini, Al Groh, Todd Haley, Ray Handley, Bill Belichick, Mike Zimmer, Sean Payton, Tony Soprano, Ray Perkins. You got all of these guys that learned under Bill Parcells, and it's gotten so good that Bill Belichick has his own coaching tree. And they develop styles, they develop toughness, they end up learning situations. You've got, of course, the Bill Walsh coaching tree, where you've got George Seifert, you got Mike Holmgren, Ray Rhodes, Dennis Green, and that's where the West Coast offense kind of spread out through the NFL. And here is Jason Garrett, who never had the benefit of being underneath a coaching tree. He never was an assistant to a great NFL coach. He worked in Miami for 2 years as a quarterbacks coach and then became offensive coordinator. He didn't have the school of hard knocks. He did not have that great presence in front of him, showing him how to handle players, how to handle situations, how to handle pressure. Because once he became offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, he immediately became head coach. And herein lies, I think, the problem. It's nothing against Jason Garrett. He's a very intelligent man, a Princeton-educated man. But I dare say an educated fool when it comes to football and running an organization. You can see, I hate to be doing this in the season, but you can see in pressure situations where that butt of his is literally making diamonds. because it's defining moments that it seems like are the problems. Jason Garrett has coached regular seasons really well. But when you go back to those 8-8, 8-8, and 8-8 seasons where it is a win to get into me, I say a playoff game, when you see plays that need to be made, he doesn't have the experience to draw off of being a gut move. And Sunday was one of those gut moves. You never punt on that situation. Not that close. You had a kicker who won the job in this same stadium kicking a 57-yard field goal. I know, it would have been a long field goal. But then you also have the best running back in football. You've got a quarterback who's built like a linebacker. And you're supposedly known for your offensive line. That's one of those defining moments that being from one of those coaching trees will teach you. That's why Sean Payton kicks an onside kick in the Super Bowl. And Jason Garrett punts on 4th down and overtime. It is not having the experience of a coaching tree. I don't know if Jason Garrett will ever leave Dallas. Jerry Jones seems to be stubborn on that one. I don't know why, but he just does. But something's going to have to give if winning is really what's important. Because I don't think Jason Garrett is going to win the big one. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. I'm hoping he does. But right now, this guy has little faith. Hope you have a great Friday. We'll bring you up to date with any news on the Dallas Cowboys. We've gotten some good news that Travis Frederick is getting better slowly. Doesn't mean he'll play this year, but the fact that his health is getting better is a plus. Everybody just about is practicing. Sean Lee is doing individual work on the sidelines. Did not practice yet, but it's getting close, which brings up a dilemma, of course. Do you sit Van Der Esch and play Sean Lee, or do you just kind of keep Sean Lee under bubble wraps? Randy Gregory is on the injury list and with the knee injury, but David Irving is back to practicing. So you are now up to speed with all that is the Dallas Cowboys. I'm Mark Holmes, and I got to get to my day job. I'll see you soon.